Welcome to the Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man. Live from Studio C at media stations in Bohemia, New York.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man. If you don't know, I am the Music Man, and that lovely lady sitting there, that's her dog barking.
Oh,
Is that
no,
your-
not mine.
That's
I
that's
don't
it.
have a dog.
That's our guest dog barking. Okay, maybe they want to be on air. You know,
I think
Anybody else understand dog? Okay, well, I understand my dog, so I mean, I know just what she wants whenever she wants it. So,
Well, she's
Lisa,
got you well trained, doesn't she, Norman?
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Lisa, how
Yeah.
are you?
I am doing well. How about you?
Okay, where are you tonight? You combed the United States. Anything not to be in the studio.
Exactly.
where are
I
you-
am in
where are
North
you now?
Carolina. I'm actually in Charlotte, North Carolina with my daughter.
And what are we doing down there? I know discussing business with somebody else.
Oh, no, actually, we're wedding planning. So my other daughter is getting married April 23rd.
How
So
nice.
that's next month. We had some business to take care of down here for that.
Oh, very, very good. I'm happy to share with anyone, and hopefully somebody will care. Friend Entertainment just signed a deal to go to Washington State. This is the first time
Awesome.
we're going to be in Washington State, and we're importing some talent, and we're helping a charity raise some money, an international charity, by the way, national and international. And we're looking forward to it. And the date's going to be November 18th. So if anybody happens to be somewhere near Seattle on November 18th, give us a call and we'll see. We'll
Awesome.
hook you up. We've got a really good show coming on. Anyway, we got a really good guest tonight, too. He's got a really interesting background that he's going to tell us about. And let's welcome Ed Carduna from WISE, and that's WYSE Advisors. Is that correct?
That's correct, Norman. Thank you.
Listen to that voice. You should be on the other end of this.
Well,
Really
he
good.
is tonight. He
Yeah,
is.
yeah. No, I made him my seat. You know, with the voice like that, he should certainly be having his own podcast or be on one each week, someplace, somewhere.
Well,
Anyway,
thank you.
Well, welcome to the Business Power Hour. I
Thank
think
you.
you got a lot to tell us. You got a very, very interesting story. And let's start off with when you were a youngster. If you can, I remember when I'm a young. It's about all I can remember, is when I was a kid. What you were doing and what you were thinking about on wanting to be when you got older and moved on.
I grew up in the South Bronx,
Me
so
too. Whereabouts?
what I was thinking about was
Where in the
mostly
Bronx?
right by Yankee Stadium, 164th and Walton.
My grandparents lived on Mount Eden,
Really,
and
I'm
I
third
lived.
generation Bronx.
I was Kingsbridge and Sedgwick. There you go. All right, so
BS 114.
go ahead, continue.
No, so mostly my forward thinking at that point was the next day and what park we were going to play in and what we were going to do and
Oh,
how I was going to make the school day go as quickly as humanly possible.
exactly. So
That's
what'd you
always
decide? How'd you do that? What'd you do? Were you playing basketball, baseball?
No,
You know,
mostly football.
okay.
I'm kind of a big guy, so
Yeah, you are. How
football
tall
and
are you?
boxing were
How
my
tall?
thing.
How tall are you?
6'3".
Yeah, you're a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
Especially when someone looks at me and then looks at you. Yeah, then you're a really big guy.
Yeah, we got twins going on with that one, right, Norman?
Oh yeah,
We'll
absolutely.
give you Danny DeVito's spot.
So you decided to go to college, and where'd you attend school?
Went to college, went to Lehigh.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Nice
Somehow
school.
did well enough to get into law school.
so as in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
I know. I have a house in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait, that was a good thing, wasn't it?
It's interesting that you wanted to become an attorney because that's what I wanted to do as a youngster. I wanted to, which I do, but I don't do it as an attorney. I wanted to help people. I wanted to help all kinds of people, except I just didn't want to go to school. So that kind of like put a cringe on it. So
Well, in my
Like,
neighborhood, it was sort of like there was a saying, you either became an attorney or you went to the chair. Um,
that was the Bronx.
right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of my first clients were kids that I ran with when I was younger.
Um,
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
wow.
it was
How come
interesting.
they didn't catch you? They caught them.
Right. I was a little faster.
All right. You're a little bigger. You
Or
went through the
two. You
line.
had more legs,
Huh?
right?
Right.
All right. So you went to Lehigh University and then you graduated. And did you go right into law school or did you have a stay in between?
No, no, I went straight to law school, University of Bridgeport Law up in Connecticut,
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then
and got out. And the only kind of law I ever wanted to practice was criminal defense trial work.
why was that?
You know, we grew up on Perry Mason and Judge for the Defense and all of that. So for us,
Mhm.
that's what a lawyer was. Everybody else were just, faking it.
Then you would have had a Della Street and a detective named Paul.
No, I was with a very small firm in Manhattan, and I actually did my own investigations.
Oh, really?
So I was Perry and Paul.
And Della. No, you weren't Della.
No, I don't have the
No,
legs
I
to
don't
be
think you
Della.
were Della. No, there was no there. Our technician in the back is laughing. He thought that was funny. So
Mhm.
it was kind of cute. All right. So the law firm was how many partners?
There were three partners. That was it.
Okay.
And a
And,
couple of paralegals, a few administrative people.
and were you there the full 8 years that you were an
Yeah.
attorney?
Well, I was there for 7 of those 8 years. Um, during those 7 years that I was practicing trial work, saw a lot of things you're really not supposed to see at that age. And my wife and I decided that, life is too short for this nonsense. However, in her wisdom, and she was right about it, she wouldn't let me quit law without trying another facet of it. She didn't want me to go through later on in life with well, what if?
It's always
Right.
what if.
So I joined a big Fifth Avenue firm, all of the prestige, all of the stuff that went with it, and was bored to death in a year.
Oh, wow.
You
Bored
know,
to death. So
Bored to
were you not,
death.
you stopped doing any trial work?
Yeah, I was doing corporate work. I was in
Corporate.
the office, and I mean, there were certain very nice things about it. I was on private planes. I was on private helicopters traveling around the country. One of our biggest clients was a multimillionaire, so all of his facilities was open to us. It was a little ridiculous, but for me, after what I had done, it was boring.
Right. Because doing corporate documents and making sure contracts are in place.
It's just not standing in the well of a courtroom playing Perry Mason.
Yeah. Perry
you
Mason.
did international law too, did you not?
No, I'm sorry.
You did international law as well, if I read here correctly.
Yeah, I did some internationally based cases. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So why are you in the profession you are in now?
Strangely enough, there were some real similarities between doing corporate turnarounds and restructurings as well as criminal defense work. The first one is you're pretty comfortable with the fact going in that most of the time your clients are going to be lying to you.
Oh, okay.
That's tough. Yeah, I get it.
It's one of those sad facts, but no, I enjoyed it. I realized very early on after I left law that I had a bit of a talent for it. A friend of a friend introduced me to somebody who was running a family-owned company, 120 years old, owned by the family the whole way through, wasn't going to make it to 121. And so me and all of my arrogance and hubris said, yeah, I can help you. Well, I went in the space of about 18 to 20 months, I helped pull them out of it. And I realized that I had a bit of a knack for it and I enjoyed it.
What was their problem? Tell us how you, and then how you solved their problem.
Well, part of the problem was the patriarch of the family that was running the company. He was not only a member of Mensa, but a former Air Force fighter pilot. Now, if you could find somebody with a bigger ego than those things, let me know. And he let his ego control him.
You know everything?
Oh, absolutely everything, and then some. So it was really a matter of getting him to sit down and cede control over. And after a couple of months, he saw that I had a clue as to what I was doing. You know, I'm a big believer in fake it till you make it. And he handed it over to me, control. And we were able to, it was a very good staff there, very good people who were there. And we were able to turn it around.
Nice. Nice. That's a tough task. And how long had he been in control of the family business?
About 30 years.
So he had 30 years in, and that's what he drove it to before he let you have the reins.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good reign.
Yeah.
There are a lot of kings and queens that don't reign that long.
And there was a lot of bad runway there.
And presidents.
Yeah.
that don't
dictators.
reign. And dictators. Same thing. President, dictators. Same difference.
Good point.
Same difference. Now, when did you join Wise?
I joined Wise Advisors. This summer will be 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Was that a wise move on your part?
Very punny.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was. It was. I was the first person that Mike Wise brought on board. He is very, very good at what he does, very bright man, and he had very good ideas. And the synergy was just there. We met and we started together in the teeth of COVID. Our first meeting was walking around outside for 2.5 hours around a nature preserve.
Nice view.
Very good. So that you guys, you couldn't meet indoors. So
nope, couldn't meet indoors. So what better place to walk around?
Well, what exactly is the purpose of it? What does Wise do?
Wise
Go ahead.
Wise helps companies that find themselves, well, primarily helps companies that find themselves in varying degrees of distress. Everything from, they're kind of in deep water and they don't have their swimmies. They don't really know how to prevent themselves from getting their head underwater. To companies that are already heading inevitably to the bankruptcy, and we help them prepare for it and do what has to be done to get them teed up for the bankruptcy, and then for the bankruptcy filing, and then we execute the restructuring plan.
Does your legal background fit into a lot of the different areas to help these people?
Not really in that area. Mike is the one. We have nine of us who are in the firm now. Mike and most of the team actually deal with the bankruptcy work and restructuring. I deal with the turnarounds. I'm sort of the trauma surgeon for business.
Give everybody a new heart.
Pretty much. I'm the one who, I'm sort of a cross between a trauma surgeon for business and the old TV and movie character, the equalizer. When nobody else can help, kind of thing.
Right. Wow.
So
any particular story about any of your clients that kind of rings or you want to share?
Sure. Probably, people always ask, what was my biggest and the one memorable success? I walked into a company 20 years ago it should have filed for bankruptcy 2 years before I walked in the door, but it was a publicly traded company and the board of directors refused to allow it to file. The company had lost most of its product approvals. They were hemorrhaging money by the bucketful. And 4 of the previous C-suite members were doing federal vacation time for going against patents and product approval. So that was an interesting situation because there were about 200 or so employees that were hourly line employees. It was a manufacturing company. And this was during a time when there weren't a lot of jobs out there, especially where the company was in a very depressed urban area.
Um,
And I made a commitment to the company and to everybody there that as long as they wanted to be there and as long as they did their jobs to the best of their abilities, nobody was going to lose their job unless everybody did by the sheriffs closing the doors and chaining them.
oh, okay.
So it was a pitched battle for about 6 or 8 months, running between the power company and the phone company, for them not to shut the power and the phones off, to any of our vendors that they owed money to, and there were lots of them,
Right.
and getting them not to throw us into an involuntary Chapter 7,
Right.
to the bank who held the loan. Oh, to the landlord who could have just thrown us
Close the
out at any
doors.
time. Oh, and also about once a week for 6 months, running down to DC to meet with the Department of Justice, where there was a multi-million-dollar criminal fine against the company that was in default.
Oh boy.
Now that's entertainment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Who needs a trial?
that helped.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying who needs to be in front of in court for a trial? You've
Right.
got this going on.
I got my fill right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thankfully, the people at the company itself were fantastic. They were dedicated. They were tough. There were times when I had to make payroll. Anybody who was salaried went without pay for up to about, including myself, for about 6 weeks at a time.
How'd you make good
in
on
order that
payroll?
we-
Where did the money come from for payroll? Even at the
Well,
end of the 6 weeks?
We were able to scrape together with the help of some outsiders. We worked with a local bank
Hmm.
who allowed me to come in with a 6-figure check that was going to be drawn against uncollected funds.
Receivables?
Yeah, receivables, exactly. And I made an arrangement with the bank manager where we both could have ended up in a great deal of trouble if it didn't work out. But I would walk in there with an armed guard at my side with a litigation bag and a check, and a 6-figure check, and he would cash it there for me, put it in the suitcase. I'd go back to the plant. I'd sit in a small room with that armed guard standing over my left shoulder as one person at a time came in, and I would cash their checks right there on the spot.
Well,
That's interesting.
Sometimes you just have to get creative. And I wasn't worried about the salaried people as much, but I had made a commitment to the hourly people, and I was not going to break that.
Well, the hourly people are nuts and bolts about making the company work, building
Exactly.
the product, shipping the product.
yeah. They're the reason that the product goes out. So yes,
Right.
you need to compensate them. And they have families at home that need to, be fed.
Yeah. These are people that live hand to mouth.
And when were they able to pull out of this? How long did it take? Did they finally get totally resolved?
Well, not only did we get things stabilized in about 8 months, stabilized, not good, but no longer taking on water. And in about a year, we got a cash infusion from an investment company. I was there for a year after that, rebuilding. And then about 2 years later, they sold to one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world.
Wow.
Phenomenal.
And then they
So it worked.
went to hide someplace in Florida or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice condo somewhere, no more stress. Just a
That would
lot
be
of
nice.
sun.
What's that like?
Sounds good.
One day you might find out.
You're not
So-
going to get all that warmth down in North Carolina, but it's a good thought.
So where do you provide your services? Are you US based only?
We're all over the country. I've done work around the world. I facilitated a joint venture between a Canadian pharmaceutical company, a Polish pharmaceutical company, and the Polish government.
Hmm.
I've done work in the UK, in Canada, in the Middle East.
Nice. So
And
what is a profile of what a typical customer for you is?
For me, it's somebody who either the owner is wise enough, and the pun is not intended,
but it was
or
good. It was a good one.
thank you so much. Um, or their attorneys or bankers force them into it. Please pardon my dog in the background. She wants to be on air.
I'm sure.
That's all right.
But
She can bark into the lines. I don't think anyone will mind.
she's the smart one in my family. But yeah, so or their attorneys or bankers force them into it. And we come into situations that are either underperforming or non-performing. And that's really what it is. We work with companies anywhere from, we're lower middle market, anywhere from 10 million to $500 million is our sweet spot. We've done lower, we've done higher.
Talking about sweet spot, if somebody wants to reach you and they want to have a conversation with you at Wise Advisors, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can either go onto our website, WISCADVISORSLLC.com, or they can call me directly,
And what's the number?
908-510-6943.
Could you repeat that number one more time?
908-510-6943.
Now, do you belong to any network groups? How do you get your leads? I mean, people aren't just calling you out of the clear blue air. How do you get those leads?
We get them through mostly word of mouth.
From people that you've
Mostly,
helped, they recommend you? Is that how it goes?
that's primarily it. Between all of us, we do belong to all of the appropriate network groups, everything from the Turnaround Management Association with its thousands of members to the smaller groups like the Geriatric Advisory Council in New Jersey, which is a very, very solid networking group for people who specialize either directly or tangentially in senior care, home care, senior living, anything like that.
Do you have any senior living clients?
At this moment, no. Have I? Yes, a number of them.
Were they assisted or just
One of them was an assisted
residences?
living community,
And the other independent?
and one of them was independent. And I've also rebuilt a couple of home care companies.
Uh-huh. I know a little bit about that industry because I was the sales director for one of them on Long Island. And my wife had also been a regional vice president for one.
Gotcha.
That's some business.
Yeah, it is.
Crazy.
It is.
You better have a lot of money when it comes to that time. A lot of money. Because they
Or
see you
very,
coming.
very good long-term
They
care insurance.
they see you coming. They
Oh,
can
yeah.
smell the Social Security and the fact that you have a house, and they want to make sure that they can get a hold of some of that work.
I didn't tell you the house is in the dog's name.
Good
There you go.
move. Good
Yeah,
move.
my
You're in
mother made it to 100, stayed in her
Oh.
house her entire life, and she put her house in my and my brother's name about 25 years ago. So, yeah, she didn't have to worry about having it go towards any long-term care.
That's a smart way to do it.
Not exactly. When it's time to pay taxes, my brother and I get to do that now for her.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
there's
but
always
look at
that.
the
It
other
was smart
side.
for her.
One day
Yeah.
you're going to have the house.
already have it and sold it.
Oh, so there you go. So that's not so
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I guess your mom's passed.
Yeah, she
I'm
passed
sorry.
a couple of years ago in the midst of COVID, but not from COVID. So she
During
died in
COVID, but
January of
not
21.
because of COVID.
Not because of COVID.
Got it.
No. She hit 100 and said that was a big number and she was done. And her organs started failing and she got what she prayed for her whole life. She died in her own home, in her own room.
You know, every week, I do this every week because every week it seems that somebody can use Lisa's expertise in what it is that she does, because especially for a company like yours. Now, you have these companies that need loans and need money, and Lisa does commercial loans. So you two guys, if you haven't spoken yet one-on-one, should certainly get together.
Ed was just saying that before we jumped on tonight. And yes, we'll have to have a conversation.
When you get back.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take our normal half the show break right now, and we're going to be back in about 2 or 3 minutes. So stay tuned, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Norman Wasserman, and next to me is Lisa Rodino. Lisa and I host a TV podcast show called The Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man.
So what does the Business Power Hour do? We are here to talk about you and your business. We will put you on air for 1 hour to highlight your business in front of thousands of viewers worldwide, helping you generate more leads to grow your business.
And we do this every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. right here. What are you doing?
I'm keeping you on point.
Many businesses fail due to lack of adequate funding, and it's extremely difficult for startups and early-stage companies to be approved for financing or business credit. We say yes to funding when others may have told you no. Our approval rate is more than 85%. That's because we created a custom process that assures your company gets access to the best funding for your situation, regardless of any past rejections. We offer a new and innovative business funding and credit solution. Our exclusive process is administered by a qualified team of financial strategists who work together with you one-on-one to guide you step by step so you don't have to struggle to find quality funding for your business. We believe all great business ideas deserve to be approved for funding. Set yourself up for success and increase your access to capital so your business will not only succeed, but thrive. Give us a call now and start your success plan today.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friend Entertainment USA. My name is Norman Wasserman. I am also known as the Music Man. Let me just tell you a little bit about Friend Entertainment. We put on concerts for charities, and we do that everywhere from New York to Las Vegas. We do R&B, Motown, rock and roll, jazz, whatever it is that you wish. Friend Entertainment will deliver the best of the best for you and your charity. Here are some of the names of the talent that have performed with us on our stage. Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, The Temptations, Earth, Wind and Fire, the one and only ELO, Elton John himself, Kool and the Gang, and the fabulous Donna Summer. Go to our website, friendentusa.com. That's www.friendentusa.com, or feel free to call us at 631-698-9696. 631-698-9696, and we'll see you at the next show. Okay, welcome back, everybody, to the Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man and our special guest, Ed Carduner from Wise, very wise, so wise advisors, who's still drinking his beer. Is that a beer or a glass of water?
It's coffee.
All right.
It's coffee.
All right, sure it is. All right, no problem. Okay, what are the best types of clients for you? Do you specialize in any certain industries? People that are listening now, let them know what industries that you have worked or can work and looking to work.
We are industry agnostic. Between Mike and I, we have about frighteningly enough, about 50 years worth of experience doing this. And we have worked in most industries that you can think of, everything from commercial trucking to healthcare to senior care to hospitality companies, and everything in between, to cannabis companies.
Wow. Cannabis too.
That's
Yeah.
the hottest industry out there right now anyway.
So, Ed, can you tell us, why should people look to Wise for their situations?
A couple of reasons. There are the big firms out there, the giants that anybody in the business world knows who they are and knows all about them. And they're very good at what they do, but we do things differently. First of all, we're hands-on. We don't just go in, do a dive, do a pretty looking report, present it to senior management and or the board of directors in our Brooks Brothers pinstripe suits and rep ties, and then walk out with a very large check. That's not how we operate. We roll our sleeves up. We're there. We help not only create, but also implement the plan. Because the principles of the company are not only are we easy to reach, but we are involved in every engagement in one way or another. And so the owners know us, the bankers know us, the attorneys know us. And that helps a lot. We also, because we're small and because we stay lean, it's very, very expensive to be broke these days. It really is.
Sure.
It is,
yeah.
No doubt.
Whether you're in trouble and you are, paying all the lawyers and accountants, or whether you're heading towards or have already filed for a bankruptcy, which in itself is a $500,000 to $1 million process. It's very expensive to be broke.
Yes.
Well, we recognize that, and our fee structure is in accordance with that. We don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be the solution. We want to be the ones who come in at a price that, sure, look, any price is going to be a little bit onerous, but we're not trying to choke anybody with our numbers. It's eminently doable.
So, is Wise Investors known as a boutique firm?
Yes, Wise Advisors is a boutique firm.
Okay. And what makes you the stronger choice? More of what you said and
more of what I said, our involvement, our experience, the fact that we've operated on so many levels in so many different industries successfully. I mean, I'm very proud to say that I look at myself, like I said before, as a business trauma doctor. And I have been very, very fortunate up till now. I haven't lost a patient yet. And I'm sure as heck at this part in my career, not going to screw up my batting average.
Very good. So are there other services that your firm offers?
We also work with companies in securing financing. We do mergers and acquisitions work. We will help creating succession plans, things like that.
Okay, so I'm one of those people that you're describing. I need some help. I see bankruptcy as a possible situation. I don't want to go there. I show you I make an appointment with you. I come into your office or you come to mine. What's the game plan? How do we get started?
Well, we obviously, once you decide that you do want to work with us, we have our engagement letter, which, you go through with your attorney. We present to you, you go through with your attorney. We make any tweaks that need to be made, and we move forward from there. When I go in on a couple of different levels. I will do an immediate quick hit into the company to see what's bleeding the most buckets.
Now, when you say you could do a quick hit, is that jumping into the books or is that walking around the plant or the offices, finding
That's
out if people are sitting around doing nothing? What is the deal with that?
yes to both. I will, yeah, go through the books, but I also walk around. I talk to everybody. I listen to everybody. I hear, I feel, I smell what's going on in the company. And you take a little bit of time doing that, and you get a very, very quick and good idea of where the major issues are. And look, it's like anything, you have to take the emergency situations first. So once I have those at least not bleeding buckets anymore, then I can go in and do a careful, quick, but careful deep dive and find out what the causes are, what the inherent, what and who, and it's 99% of the time, both what and who are the inherent problems.
And what happens when it's one of the owners? That's got to be a tough conversation.
Oh, it's an incredibly tough conversation, and sometimes the conversation does not work out well. However, look, we're not in there, and we're not brought in because of our personality. We're not in our, personal magnetism. We're brought in there because of our expertise.
Okay, so here's a
And
situation
we,
which I'm pretty familiar with. I'll let you finish. Go ahead, and then I'll ask the
and
question.
I mean, I say in the initial interview meeting with management or the owners or the board that there are going to be conversations that are not going to be fun conversations, and they're going to hear a lot of things from me that they don't like
Well,
and
this
they're not
has
happy about.
well, that's something that I was going to bring up because knowing situations that other people have been in, where I just know about them and I hear the stories. When there are partners, you get your partner that wants to sell. You got your partner that wants to keep the company. One doesn't want to deal with the other. They don't want to deal with the other person's son, daughter, wife, whatever it may be.
Sure.
That's where the problem probably begins in the first place. Getting them to be on the same side with the idea that we're here to save this place. We just spent 35 years here doing all kinds of numbers. Now it's not so good. Now we got to jump in and work together. Do you come across that fairly often?
Quite a bit. And then you have the situations which are even more fun, which are family-owned businesses,
Gotcha.
where not only is it in the office, but it's around the Sunday dinner table.
Yeah.
And that could be a bit of a mess because, look, what we do is not only are we business experts, but in a situation like that, we're almost always also amateur psychologists. And it's just the way the process works because they're hard conversations, they're hard truths, because if they weren't, they wouldn't need us.
Right.
Of course.
And their business is their baby
Sure.
and it needs attention. And
Sure.
everyone's got to get on board to fix what's broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you have to have a stable for yourself as well as for your clients of insurance people, lawyers, accountants, forensic accountants, people that got to jump in because some of these businesses are just going to split. And some of them are going to get saved. So that's where I guess all those people get involved.
We have within our firm, we have everything from former investment bankers to, mortgage bankers, et cetera. So we have a lot of the banking expertise. We have a lot of relationships with CPA firms, with attorneys all over the world, and quite a few, and a lot of lenders. And look, that's also part of how we get our referrals by
Sure.
giving referrals and by using these people.
Right.
That's what business is all about. It's, you give to get.
Back, I guess, let's go back to 2020. COVID was hot and running. I was a perfect example of getting stuck in that. I'm sure as all of us have been. In February of that year, I had to cancel 26 concerts. Went through an awful lot of money, a lot of disappointment, a lot of headaches. Your clients at that point in time, how did you save them? What did you do to help them get through this psychologically, monetarily, every which way in business? What did you do for that?
There wasn't a lot during the middle of COVID. There wasn't. Everything was shut down. And plus, all the companies were getting well on PPP money. And what the problem was with that is that they thought that that was real. They didn't realize that all it was a Band-Aid. And the minute that spigot got shut off, their problems came roaring back, and most of the time, even worse.
That's why they weren't getting well.
Yes.
That, I wouldn't call that
Mhm.
getting well. I would say you are allowed to get out of bed now, but that's not getting well.
No, you're right. You're right.
Right. And like for us, I had to process many of the PPP loans that the local banks were not taking because those businesses were too small for them to even bother with,
Hmm.
and the announcements of closing those big bank doors 15 days before the lending was still being offered. That was tough on those small businesses.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I
But
was one of
I
those.
filled in.
I was one of those businesses. I received a PPI. I didn't have to pay it back. That was the deal on it. A lot of people didn't have to
Yeah.
pay it back. I also was lucky enough, but a little late, to get a SVOG, which was a grant from the federal government based upon my industry and the numbers that I did. But what they did, which they
Because of the
didn't do,
entertainment industry that you're in.
correct. Uh, I had to prepare a budget. I prepared the budget. I received my money, kept me going for a good while because I used that money to promote and give deposits and whatever to get back my monies from previous shows and that money. But then I had to do another budget to show them where the monies went.
Hmm.
And that was like almost, you had to show them checks, deposits, where it went, yada yada. It was almost not worth getting the money. There was so much time and effort that you had to put into it to go and do it. And
Yeah.
everything's been filed. To this day, I don't know if everything was acceptable or not. I just know I don't hear from them. So no news is good news.
Absolutely.
Do you
So,
have
Ed,
client?
what's the best way for folks to be able to reach you? What phone number?
The 908-510-6943.
And do you have any upcoming events that you will be taking part in?
I will be speaking as a guest speaker at the New Jersey Home Care and Hospice Association annual conference in Atlantic City on, I believe it's June 7th through June 9th is the conference. I will be speaking on June 8th.
Now, what do you do at these
Nice.
What do you talk about?
Well, last year when I spoke at that same conference, I spoke about um, senior care companies and how to come out of the COVID era and how to recover from COVID, because senior care industry, like the hospitality industry, was devastated
Right.
by COVID. What I'm speaking about this year is a little bit easier. It's how to build and maintain a healthy home care company or a healthy senior living facility.
Now, what do you mean by healthy? Are we talking healthy financially?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, healthy financially. But keep in mind something, Norma. Financially healthy is very closely intertwined with operationally, because
Better be.
anything that happens in the finances is usually a direct
Affects
result of
operations.
things that happen in the operations.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
Do you have any other stories? Because I find what you do very, very interesting. And that was an interesting story that you told us a little while ago. And anything else similar to that? Well, maybe a different industry, different way that you
Yeah.
did things?
There was a company that was a family-owned company, but it wasn't a family-owned, it was two family ownership. And they didn't like each other, the two families.
Kind of like the Hatfields and McCoys.
That's exactly how I called it.
Okay.
The Hatfields and McCoys. So, you were being pulled in different directions. I had everybody in my ear with stories about the other ones. And at some point, you had to say to them, listen, that's great, but that's for your Thanksgiving dinner tables. That's not for the boardroom. That's not for our calls. You're paying me a lot of money not to be your family counselor, but to be your business advisor and to pull the company out of trouble. So let's kind of keep our eye on the ball and focus in on what's important here and now. And that's the company and your employees and your ownership stake, so that your children have something from it afterwards.
Did they hear you?
To an extent,
See,
temporarily.
it's just amazing. People hire someone like yourself with the idea of saving what they have or dissolving what they have amicably, all right? And they don't listen. They don't listen or they don't hear. Either which way, they just don't get it.
After I said that at a board meeting, they kind of got the hint and they kept it out of the boardroom. However, that didn't stop the individuals from bending my ear.
But they
That's okay.
create problems for them. When you do something like that in a boardroom, that educates the rest of the board that there are additional problems that they don't know about.
Oh, no.
They knew about them.
They knew about them. There was nothing that was hidden.
They had a chatty Cathy.
They knew exactly what you were going to talk about when you talked about it.
Maybe
not.
Much.
So you mentioned that you also do acquisitions and mergers.
Mm-hmm.
Care to go into that a little bit?
Well, a company is looking to sell. We will find within our universe, we will locate a few potential buyers and help facilitate the transaction. Help to negotiate it, help to put it together. If there's financing necessary, work on that. If it's on the other side, if it's on the buy side, and a company is looking to grow through acquisition rather than organically, we will help them look for companies within their space or within the space that they're looking to grow in and make the first entree. And the same thing then, facilitate the negotiations and the acquisition.
Very nice. I know I end up with companies that, my clients are looking to purchase. I'll give you an example, a golf course. Someone wanted to purchase the golf course. Well, the owners of the golf course wanted to lean on the value of the land, didn't want to show their books on their business. SBA says if they're not seeing the books, there's no deal.
Of course not. How could they expect that?
Right. They want to see the books. They want to see the cash flow. And they're like, oh, no, we do this under the counter. We get 100 or 200,000 a year in cash for this part of the course. That's like, no, it doesn't work like that.
No,
and
not legally.
I told my guy that wanted to buy it, I'm like, you can't trust that.
Yeah.
So
They're not getting you. They didn't show tax returns. They didn't show anything.
They had filed as an S corp, I believe, or an LLC, single proprietor, and they didn't show anything.
Well, so, I could pretty much tell you what that meant on the back end.
Yeah, well, I think we both can. All of us could understand that. Yeah.
He walked. We found a different golf course for him.
They were so blatant about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of, let's go a sidebar for a second. Lisa, the entertainment deal that you're working on, how is that going for you?
The entertainment deal. Which entertainment deal?
You said the royalty thing.
Yes. That one we're still waiting for some things to come through for that. So that one's coming to light. We'll see what comes of it.
Are you waiting for things from ASCAP and BTI, or what type
Oh,
of things do you
Well,
need?
we have some offers out that my client needs to decide if he wishes to go forward
Oh, that's
or
all.
if he
Okay,
wants to
that's
hold
simple
off for
enough.
better offers.
So it's the 12th hour.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Well,
Yep.
I wish you a lot of good luck on that.
Good luck with it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Way to go.
Yeah.
All right, is there anything else, Ed, that you would like to present to anybody? Besides, we're going to have you give off your phone numbers again as promised.
Just that we are open to speak to anybody. And, if you think that you're heading in that direction, chances are you are. And reach out for the assistance before you desperately need it. Just, get it when you really need it rather than when it becomes an emergency situation. And don't hesitate, don't waste time, because that usually means that it's not going to end well.
Exactly. You gotta take care of things right away.
Yep.
Before they fester and they blow up in your face. And that's happened plenty of times to plenty of people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
All right. And how do people get in touch with you again, Ed?
Well, they can reach me on my cell phone at 908-510-6943, or they can email me at ecarduner, CARDUNER, at wiseadvisorsllc.com.
All right. Well, we thank you very, 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 very much for your wise advising to all our fans out there, and hopefully they don't need your service because they're doing well, but that's not going to happen. They're going to need your service, or do need your service currently, and I hope that it works out and you can pick up some business and some new leads. And we thank you very much for being on the show tonight. Thank you.
Thanks
Great
very much
job.
for having me, Norman and Lisa.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure
right.
to have you.
Thank you, Ed. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening this evening. I can't believe, but it's the end of March already. That's insane.
Where did the
A
time
quarter
go,
of the
Mona?
year is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Better
nuts.
let's look at the positive stuff. It was the first day of spring yesterday, the first full day. So let's see some nice spring
Yeah,
weather come
Yeah,
our
but they're
way,
predicting
right?
15 inches in the next 7 days. I'm only kidding.
In,
I'm only kidding. I was
in
just,
what state? You mean Northern California? I
it's a
heard that.
sort of something like that. Yeah. Well, Lisa, what do you got planned for this weekend? Anything going on?
This weekend I'm out of town, so yeah, I'll be having a nice time with the girls, and yes, we'll be doing some
So I guess we can
activities.
expect you in the studio next Tuesday.
Or I'll turn
What was
up.
that?
I
I
might.
didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
I said you never know where I'll turn up. I
Yeah.
might.
All right, I got you. Anyway, well, thank you everybody for tuning in and listening, and we will see you next week with a very special guest who's coming to us from the state of California. So have a great week, and we'll see everybody then. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
The Business Power Hour with Lisa and the Music Man is sponsored by Media Stations. Create your own media and have your own station. To get started with your own content, call or text 516-448-2066. That's Media Stations in Bohemia, New York.